we start every episode with the same question. How's the market? And Mike, I want to ask you, what's the one thing that buyers need to know right now about the local residential real estate market?
I think the most important thing to know is the market is a lot better than any of us had really expected it to be. When we went into this crisis, we projected a pretty substantial drop-off of both listings and especially new contracts. So we expected to go into a major buyer's market and sellers really to be suffering. And that's just not what happened. Initially, we did have a pretty good drop-off. We saw listings drop off by about 46% and contracts as much as 54% back in April. But in the last couple of weeks of April and going into May, we've seen, I would say, really substantial improvement. For the last 2 weeks of April, listings were down about 37%, but the big numbers, contracts were only down 30%. And if we look at what's happened in the beginning of May, we've actually seen a similar trend where the numbers continue to improve. So it's actually been really gratifying to see that the markets continue to move, and it feels really good that we feel like we're getting a little momentum back.
It's good news. Thad, what's your take?
Well, I think it's a great opportunity. I think there are a lot of millennials right now that are looking back at the last number of years where they've paid thousands of dollars in rent, non-tax deductible, and then they were shelter in place for 2 months in a 600 square foot studio or a junior one bedroom, that are now thinking, you know what, I've been in Chicago a number of years, I love Chicago, and I'm now excited to buy Chicago. So I think we'll see movement from those young professionals that have stable jobs into entry-level condos, and that will trickle up, and we'll see that even greater movement into larger homes in the city. And I do think we're going to see a good percentage of people moving back to the suburbs. Some people, I was on a phone call yesterday with a lot of national investors, and they were talking about big movement to the suburbs. I feel like that was a knee-jerk reaction that everyone kind of in the midst of these things gets a little extreme. But I do think some families in the city will see an opportunity and they'll appreciate more open space and yards and less density. But I think you'll still have a majority of young professionals that want to stay in the vibrancy and don't want the commute. So I'm extremely bullish. I do agree with Mike. We're going to have limited quality supply. That should drive prices higher. That alongside with the fact that every other recession besides '08, we've seen significant appreciation in hard assets, and real estate is the hardest asset. So I'm very bullish on the market. I think there are a lot of buyers out there ready to buy. And although the economy is there's going to be some significant challenges. We're going to have an unprecedented amount of unemployment. I do believe the upper echelon of stable investors and stable buyers are going to move the affluent market forward. And for the primary purpose, that's our market.
Sure. You mentioned pricing, being stable or even increasing. Is that what you kind of anticipate for the rest of the year?
Yeah, I am extremely bullish on appreciation. I don't think we'll have, skyrocketing pricing. That being said, I think over the next 4 or 5 years, we'll have appreciation year after year. I think there is very little quality inventory. So you're seeing buyers come in and make improvements to what's available, and that's going to bring overall prices up. And I also think for those perfect houses that are turnkey, buyers are willing to pay a significant premium. That's not going to change. That happened before COVID, and I think that's happening even more so now. So I do think you'll see sellers that are positioned well financially updating their homes and pushing pricing higher.
And if you just look at the amount of buying power that a buyer has right now, with interest rates as low as they are, it is the best time ever for a buyer to jump into the marketplace when you look at their actual cost to own. It's incredibly low.